There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
You're watching just one of the many UFO encounters investigated by the Department of Defense.
Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it. To hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple.
The unidentified flying object, about the size of a school bus, attracted the attention of former intelligence officer Luis Elizondo.
It's not a drone. It's not something that we can easily say, oh, that's an airplane.
For years, Elizondo ran a $22 million Pentagon effort aimed at understanding the physics of sightings like this one.
Frankly, if it's Russian, Chinese, little green men from Mars, or your neighbor's dog, I really don't care. My focus is what is it and how does it work?
Elizondo refused to discuss the number of cases he investigated, but he did work with Robert Bigelow, a Las Vegas aerospace tycoon who recently told 60 Minutes that alien life is real.
I'm absolutely convinced. That's all there is to it.
Do you also believe that UFOs have come to Earth?
There has been and is an existing presence, an ET presence.
From 1947 to 1969, an Air Force program investigated more than 12,000 UFO sightings, 700 of which are still unidentified.
I would say remain skeptical, absolutely. But there comes a point where the evidence becomes overwhelming.
Elizondo says we're not at that point yet, but he believes something is out there, and ignoring it just won't fly.
Islamic terrorists attacked a church service in Pakistan Sunday, killing at least 9 people and injuring dozens. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack, which happened in Quetta. The attack against Bethel Memorial Methodist Church took place when more than 400 people were attending services. CNN reports security forces killed one suicide bomber and injured another, but the wounded terrorist managed to get inside the church and set off his explosives just inside the church doors. Police are searching for 2 more suspects.
Despite the Islamic State militant group being virtually wiped out in Iraq and Syria, an official in northern Afghanistan's Jazian province says ISIL is still recruiting young people there. Well, he said about 300 youngsters are receiving religious and military training by the extremist fighters in 2 important districts. The provincial government confirmed there are more than 50 ISIL training centers in the 2 districts.
From above, devastation as far as the eye can see. Torrential rain triggered a landslide that tore through the village of Villa Santa Lucia on Saturday. Thousands remain without electricity while rescue workers search for survivors.
I had aunts and uncles who went missing. I have an aunt who died.
Part of the valley was engulfed by a huge amount of mud from surrounding mountains. The village is around 1,000 kilometers south of the capital, Santiago. Local media reported unusually heavy rain during the previous 24 hours. President Michelle Bachelet declared a state of emergency in the area.
Alaska is shattering records this month with abnormally warm weather. It's been the hottest December on record, with most temperatures 20 to 30 degrees above average.
Many parts of Alaska experienced warmer weather than Houston, Texas, and New York City. Warmer than normal days have outnumbered cold days 3-1 since April. And according to the National Weather Service, even though it's not so harsh outside, locals are not happy about the heat. They say it has disrupted travel because melting snow leads to icy roads.
Typhoon Kaitak swept through eastern Philippines, bringing more than 2 months' worth of rain. It triggered landslides that destroyed roads and bridges. Many communities are now cut off without electricity and running water. Heavy rains have submerged houses, stranded passengers, and closed airports and seaports all across the Visayas region. Many people here have lost their homes and their livelihood.
We were not able to save anything, nothing, not even our clothes. The flood current was so strong, it reached up to our chests. We just fled right away.
Several towns in the eastern part of the Philippines are now under a state of emergency.
It looked like a tornado, many tornadoes. Do you see that area over there? That used to be a rice field. Now it's all gone.
There's panic. Local officials say supplies of food and medicines are running out. And for many, Typhoon Kai-tak is a reminder of a painful past. In November 2013, Typhoon Haiyan swept through the entire province of Leyte. At least 8,000 people were killed and many more were either injured or missing. Haiyan destroyed everything in its path, roads, homes, all wiped out in an instant. That destruction has made life even more difficult for people who were already impoverished even before Haiyan struck. More than 4 years on, they have barely recovered. And with Typhoon Kai-tak's destruction, they know that it will be a difficult few weeks ahead.
The UN Human Rights Agency says Saudi-led airstrikes in Yemen have killed more than 130 civilians and non-combatants in the past 2 weeks. Those include 7 airstrikes that hit a prison in the capital 6 days ago, killing at least 45 detainees thought to be loyal to Yemen's president. The UN says the deaths were most likely unintended and that there's evidence of due precaution from locals.
Wind-whipped flames reignited the Thomas Fire, illuminating hillsides and prompting new evacuations in ritzy Santa Barbara County neighborhoods where firefighters battled through the night to beat back the flames.
The fire did what was predicted. We had these very strong sundowner winds that just pushed down the canyon right into the homes. We had over 400 fire engines up and around the area, plus 100 more that we brought in, and we saved a lot of homes up there.
Some of those homes belonging to Hollywood elite like Oprah, who tweeted, "Still praying for our little town." Actor Rob Lowe posted these photos as flames approached his home, picking up a hose saying, "You do what you can, but when it's time, you go."
It is spread. I mean, it's well over Santa Barbara City up in the hills, and the concern is when we have these strong winds that it'll blow down towards this area.
Oh my God! What was supposed to be a celebration, the first run of newer, faster train service, tonight is a tragedy of twisted metal with multiple passengers dead.
Oh my God, that train is derailed.
Train derailment over the freeway, multiple patients.
Amtrak train 501 left Seattle just after 6 a.m. heading toward Portland. 86 passengers and crew on board. At 7:30, passenger Chris Carnes tweeting, "Wow, this train is fast. We are passing traffic on I-5. Minutes later at 7:33 a.m., a locomotive and 12 cars careen off both sides of the overpass, down onto busy Interstate 5, crushing vehicles below.
Amtrak 501, emergency, emergency, emergency. We are on the ground.
The conductor radioing for help.
Hey guys, what happened?
We were coming around the corner to take the bridge over I-5 there, right north into Squally, and we went on the ground.
Is everybody okay?
I'm still figuring that out. We got cars everywhere and down onto the highway. As soon as I know exactly where all my train is, I'll let you know.
Drivers on the interstate below were injured as the train came crashing down, but none killed. Dan Konzelman jumped out of his car in snarled traffic and onto the train to help.
We climbed underneath the train as best we could, and there was people like with half their bodies pinned, who couldn't move, and were in a lot of pain. A lot of them were screaming and moaning. But there's nothing we could do to help them, really. So we just stayed with them.
They're requesting all possible units. There's bodies on the freeway.
When we got to the scene, it was obvious that there were some fatalities and there were a lot of injuries.
Chris Carnes, who had been tweeting earlier, survived.
The train started to wobble for a moment, and then we were catapulted at the seats in front of us. And at the next thing that we knew, our car had crumpled.
When I stepped out, I didn't really realize I was standing on another train car.
The passengers were the first paying customers on a new route for Amtrak's Cascade service. What is not clear yet is why the train derailed or how fast it was going. A National Transportation Safety Board team is headed to the crash scene.
Palestinian officials report Israeli troops killed at least 4 Palestinians and wounded 150 as violence in the region continues. The Israeli military said 3,500 Palestinians demonstrated near and along the Gaza border fence on December 15th. The Times of Israel reports one of the killed Palestinian demonstrators stabbed a border officer. Police proceeded to shoot him after they noticed he wore an alleged suicide belt. Authorities identified him as 29-year-old Mohammed Akil. He later died from his wounds.
The Turks have always been passionate about the Palestinian cause. Despite the Ankara chill, protesters spent 3 hours listening to music and speeches. They waved Turkish and Palestinian flags and a fair amount of anti-American signs.
Turkey is a majority Muslim country that acts unified and together. It should lead in the Muslim world. If Muslims are united, I'm hopeful the Jerusalem problem will be sorted.
Since U.S. President Donald Trump broke with decades of American policy and recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, the Turkish street has been vocal. And President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has emerged as a potent advocate for Palestinians. He's pushing for leaders to take their condemnation and transform it into action.
Erdogan is taking his case to the UN Security Council, where he says he hopes to, quote, annul Trump's decision. It's unlikely he'll get much traction, given that the United States holds veto power. But he says, barring success there, he'll move on to the UN General Assembly. It's clear Turkey plans on continuing to persist and highlight this issue on the geopolitical stage.
I am actually very glad of the Trump-Jerusalem decision, as it serves to unite the Muslim world and get them into action.
In the most populous Muslim country, an estimated 80,000 Indonesians marched to the American embassy in Jakarta. Muslim clerics are calling for a boycott of American and Israeli products until Trump reverses his decision.
I want all Muslims to unite and to urge the President of America to reconsider his decision for the good of all of humanity.
That's unlikely, considering that Trump says this is a recognition of reality, and it's in the best interests of the U.S. and the Israeli-Palestinian peace process.